The BJJ Foxcast is brought to you by BioPro. BioPro is an all-natural alternative to prescription human growth hormone, which aids in recovery, anti-aging, metabolism, libido, immunity, skin health, cognition, sleep, and stress. Just one vial per day provides a substantial boost to all of these growth factors. Okay, so that's what they want me to say. Here's what I know as an aging grappler. I've been using BioPro Plus and the nighttime variant, BioPro Plus Cortisleep, for several months, and it feels like I've grown a third lung. My gas tank is noticeably bigger, my recovery is faster, and I'm back on the mats much quicker, not just between training sessions, but between rounds. Now you can get $30 off your first order of BioPro when you use the code FOXCAST at www.bioproteintech.com. That's code FOXCAST for $30 off your first order at www.bioproteintech.com. Thank you, BioPro. Hey, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the BJJ Foxcast. I am your host, Alex Martinez, and today I have none other than Steeyle Levine. He is the owner and head instructor at 10th Planet Scottsdale. And, you know, Steeyle, we normally drop our episodes on Wednesdays. Okay. But you know when I'm dropping this one?
I don't know.
On a merry motherfucking Monday. We're dropping it.
My God, I fucking love it. I fucking love it.
Yeah, man. I'm going to make sure my editor puts that in there because we're going to drop it on a merry motherfucking Monday.
Love it.
Welcome to the show, brother.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Tell me about 10th Planet, because it's kind of like there's some mystique to it, right? Yeah, it's kind of wild. There's 10th Planet Phoenix, Tucson, but you're 10th Planet Scottsdale. Tell me about the journey to get there.
Yeah, for sure. Let me shout out a Goodyear and Yuma too.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Got to make sure we get them all in there.
Yeah.
So I got into the 10th Planet system in 2009. The end of 2009 is when I started officially training Jiu-Jitsu.
Okay.
I had competed twice before I ever stepped on a mat. Kind of a wild man, I guess. But the 10th Planet system was really intriguing to me. I grew up in a very hippie family. Both of my parents are in theater. You know, I traveled to see the dead and, you know, all this stuff as a kid. And that whole world that Eddie sort of built of jiu-jitsu being super creative and open-minded and like bring what works and disregard what doesn't. It just made sense.
And it pisses people off.
Oh, it drives them fucking crazy, man. Well, back then especially, you know, guys couldn't believe that he was abandoning the gi. And, you know, but for me, I thought I wanted to fight. I got into jiu-jitsu watching MMA. Matt Hughes, George St. Pierre, you know, all these guys, BJ Penn, they were like my heroes.
Yeah.
And so I had bought a house real young when I was 20. And even prior to that, I was watching UFC, and at my mom's house still, some of the neighborhood kids, we'd get together, we'd box, we'd wrestle, we'd do jiu-jitsu, and that's how I found the sport and sort of fell in love with it, was through UFC and mixed martial arts. So when I finally decided I needed to go find an academy after losing my second tournament, I had been listening to Joe Rogan and was like, let's see if there's a 10th Planet in the area.
Yeah.
And a quick Google search, and, you know, 10th Planet Phoenix with John Botello is 15 minutes from my house.
Oh, shit,
you know?
cool.
He actually wasn't far from here. Dobson and Elliott, I believe.
Okay, yeah.
So sorry, I just outed your house,
That's all right, man. That's all right. Yeah, I'm easy to find, dude.
The general area, I suppose. It's not around here, actually, guys. No, but, you know, so I just sort of wandered in there, took my brother and two of my coworkers. I was terrified.
Yeah.
You know, I went and competed at a Desert Quest twice.
Okay.
My first one, I'm all over the place.
That's okay.
My first one, I won second place. 2 wins, a loss. I thought I was God's gift to jiu-jitsu. I was like, this is it. I'm going to be world champion in another 5 years.
Yeah.
You know, the UFC will be calling my name, begging for me. Went to my second tournament and got smoked.
How old were you?
19, 20.
Okay.
Yeah,
so young. Yeah.
20, 21 actually, maybe. Somewhere in there. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we all wish we started earlier.
Of course. Right? Yeah, of course. Yeah.
That's how it goes. But yeah, it was probably 20, 21. It was really eye-opening, you know, to find like, oh man, this is technically super deep.
Yeah.
You know, I got in there, I started grappling with John, and wow, I just instantly fell in love.
Yeah.
And I knew this is the sport for me.
Yeah. What was it about John that kind of grabbed your attention and held it for so long?
Oh man, I don't know. It's we're just brothers. There was something immediately about John. You know, I grew up in Mesa, you know, maybe Like I didn't have like a terrible childhood or anything. I bounced around from a couple high schools. I went to a really nice high school, New School for the Arts, and then I didn't really follow my academics very well over there. So I was over at a academy with community partners making up credits.
Okay.
And that school had a lot of, all the kids who dropped out of the schools around the bigger academy or the bigger schools. And so bigger high schools. And, I was kind of eye-opening for me and like, oh man, I'm very blessed in what I have, but there's this whole other world that's kind of grungy and, so it was intriguing, I was young, lots of testosterone. I liked watching all the fighting, and it was chaotic. Yeah. And when I met John, he had already lived all that life, but he was someone who I could resonate with like, hey, we're cleaning up our act, but we like to get down if we got to get down,
Yeah, but you probably connect really well with young students that are going through some of the same shit.
Oh yeah,
right?
and I've always thought of myself as kind of a chameleon. I've always blended very well in lots of communities. My parents exposed me to a lot, having that sort of hippie lifestyle and being in theater and so I can get along with everybody super well. I find you do tend to attract people that more follow your personality.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
Yeah, we get a lot of young guys, but I do have a nice older crowd of guys that, respect what I have going on and I wouldn't say I put it on for them, but they definitely see that I am mature, even though maybe I don't always act like it.
Yeah, and that's probably the chameleon part of you, right? You can be mature and be a business person 1 minute, and then just be one of the guys the next.
And you have to be. And I mean, it's our whole business is surrounded by customer service. I mean, it is 100% a customer service business, and I worked for 7 years at USA BMX and many places before that, but specifically over there, I did a lot of customer service oriented stuff, and that really translated well. I was on the phones all day, and I just like talking to people in general.
Sure, man.
So opening an academy was fairly easy. You open the doors, you let people know what you're about. We don't have a whole lot of gimmicks or anything. Come in if you want to train, great. If you don't. Or maybe you don't match here, I'll send you somewhere else, or maybe to something that I think you would be good at. Yeah. There's always an outlet for everybody somewhere. So
So, early on, what year did you open your academy? I was researching, but I couldn't find the
2020,
year.
baby.
2022.
So
Me too.
You were the same boat?
Yeah, same boat.
My guy.
Yes.
Yeah. So that was rough. We signed all our paperwork, had the space dedicated, I think the end of December. We built out January, February, and then we were supposed to open on a Saturday in March, and the state shut down on a Thursday. That Thursday right before. So we stayed closed. We asked if we could extend our opening date, and our landlord was like, nah, we don't really know what's going on. Right. Sorry.
It was really early on. No one knew that.
This was like a weekend, and we're like, can we push this back? And they're like, nah, we don't think so. I think everything's going to be fine. If you want, we could push your rent back and you could pay it later. And we're like, well, we don't want to do that. We don't even have, we barely have like 20 customers or something.
Yeah.
Because we were doing, I don't know if you were doing it, but we were doing pre-signs,
Sure, yeah.
You can sign up before we're open.
Yeah.
And so we postponed opening. I believe we opened June 1st, like our official day. And then we shut down July because the state shut down again. And we were like dodging those fines. We didn't want any of those. And, at this point, maybe it doesn't matter that I out myself.
No, I talk about it a lot. I talk about it a lot.
We opened right back up August, and we just ran.
Yeah.
And we shut down maybe a week in there, but we were finding as time was going on, and not trying to make this a COVID thing, but like people weren't really transmitting it that often. Yeah. We'd have someone get it, and then they would have trained for a week and tested positive and not known, and been like, shit, man. And we were like, nobody else has it. What are we going to do? And so we just kind of were like, hey, if you're sick, stay home, just be kind. Yeah. But honestly, it was, I say this and people look at me kind of crooked, and I don't know if it was the same for you, but it was honestly really good for our business in a strange way.
It was great.
Yeah. Like there was nowhere else for people to be. So when they came in, if they weren't really into it, maybe they stuck through it because they weren't, I'll give it time. I got nothing else to do.
And at that point, I think people were just sick of being told what to do too.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. Well, and then, it was the elections happening. And so we were able to really build our culture around like, hey, this community is super important for you to have a place that's not like, I hate using this word, but toxic, if you're online, it's awful right now. Nobody has anywhere else to be. They're all yelling at each other. Yeah. I heard someone say something great the other day about, people have spaces. They typically have 3 spaces: your home space, your workspace, and then somewhere else where you can kind of decompress. And like when they lost that, I just felt like we just built this really tight community that I'd never really experienced at John's. We were always really close over there, but like it made it almost like we were family in a weird way. Not that we ever did. That sounds bad. We were a family at John's, don't get me wrong, but this was something different. You know, something really special.
You were going through a difficult time together, like right away.
Immediately.
Yeah. So with John, you were probably traveling with the team and, you know, and competing, and that brought you really close. And it's obvious, right? You share a 1-room 2-queen bed with 6 people. You're gonna be close, dude. You're gonna be close. There's gonna be a bond.
Losses, wins, the whole thing. You know,
somebody getting up to weigh themselves again. Would you shut the fuck?
Yes, exactly. Yes, no.
Yeah, man.
Thank you for explaining that for me. But it was really awesome, you know. And then I was furloughed, so I got to just collect unemployment for the duration, which was like, they're like, "You coming back to work?" I'm like, I was planning on it, but now I got this thing that I don't need to split time.
Right.
And like, I'm in.
I'm
just dumping in. And so I milked it until it was done, and which it didn't last long. But it got us through.
Yeah. And there were a lot of people getting checks from the government that they were like, I don't know. I mean, I'm still getting paid at work. I'm, you know, a lot of them working from home, getting this check. And they were like, yeah, screw it. I'll go to 10th Planet, get some rounds in, you know, and, you know, and be at work.
At work, 100%. I mean, we still get that, you know. I'm not going to throw anybody under the bus. But
I hear you, man.
For sure.
Yeah, it was a weird time, man, because we opened in August, so we're right after you, like brick and mortar. And then we outgrew our space. Well, we were month to month out of space because we were looking for a larger location, and we outgrew our place in like 3 months, I think.
Oh, it's incredible.
I mean, we only had like maybe 650 square feet of mat space. So it wasn't a lot to outgrow, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, we were like A group, B group, you know, after a while. Nope, we couldn't run, you know, just like do what you can. But man, we, like you said, man, we went through tough times like right away together. Yeah. And it brought us really close. That's cool.
And if you know, it's the one thing that like, it feels really good because like we get these. I ask people to give us Google reviews. And if you look at the thing that is like overarching in all of it's just culture. Yeah. People are so, you know, even when we have guys drop in and they're like, man, the culture there is just incredible. You know, like he's really built something special and the instructor cares and it's awesome. And it was, I swear, you know, there aren't, and you know this, there aren't many of those guys that started back then. There's maybe only a handful that still train because it's a revolving door. But, they just continue to pour that into the next person. And so it's each crop of guys you get gets a taste of that culture, and they just continue to let it live on and make it thrive.
Yeah, I think when you and I started Jiu-Jitsu, you started in 2009, I started in 2013. Okay. But when we started Jiu-Jitsu, it was like, you know, it was sink or swim, you know, swim or drown. Yeah. You know what I mean? It wasn't like a nurturing environment. You know what I mean? And I think what we're doing now is like, everybody gets a fair shake. So before it wasn't like, who are you? Like when I started, no one wanted to know my name unless I'd been there a year. You know what I mean? Yeah. And finally, you know, everybody started becoming friendly. Actually, you know, they became friendly pretty quick, but it was like most of the guys were like, yeah, whatever. Yeah. The guys that have been there a while. Now it's like everybody gets a shot. Yeah. You know, you just walk through the door, you get a shot. You get to be whomever you want to be 100%. Within, as long as it fits the culture, fits the vibe, we're good to go. So
yeah. We try to make sure we take care of everybody. Again, going back to that customer service thing. Yeah. I'll schmooze you to death. Yeah. You know, eventually I will start making fun of you because that's what I do. But you know, initially I'm gonna bring you in, I'm gonna schmooze you up, I'm gonna treat you well, and then I gotta break you down a little bit. You know,
So tell me about you, man. Like what you know, I understand, you know, that a little bit rough in high school. Yeah. But you know what? My daughter did something similar than you did, and she thrived. Yeah. Like when she went there, she was like, her grades were tanking. She did not take any of that seriously. I found that the places like that, I can't remember the academy that she went to, but I found that the place, like, as long as the leadership has a big personality and they don't take any shit, the kids will do well.
Oh yeah. We did great. God, I think her name's Miss Phil. She was the principal. She was awesome. I mean, this was, God, I graduated in 06, man. You're asking me to reach long back. It was awesome. I made up all my credits super fast. Yeah. If that wasn't a problem, you know, it was mostly, once I went home, I wasn't doing homework. Right. That was my thing. You know, it was like, I treated school like a job. When I was there, I'll do everything you want me to do. Yeah. But the second I get home, we're done. You know, like that was it. I'd rather go skateboard and hang out with my friends, you know, do other mischievous things. But You know, that was my big crux.
Right.
And that school allowed me to do block system, you know? So you
Yes.
had two classes every month or something, every couple of months, whatever it is, month and a half. And so I crushed over there. It was easy.
Yeah.
No homework. You had Fridays off, easy peasy. It was wild, you know, but that let me see a whole nother world and honestly, you know, added some grit to me.
Yeah.
You know, I think it was good for me. I had a pretty vanilla life in general, you know, my parents were super, you know, we weren't wealthy, but we weren't poor. So,
Right.
You know, we had a good.
And they were together.
They were
right?
together,
So,
still
that's
together.
big, big
you know,
deal.
I didn't have, you know, these kids are all doing crazy shit. You know, they're in the bathroom doing coke and shooting up hair. Like it was wild over there. And I'm just like dropped into the sea of chaos. Like, okay, I guess I got to figure this out pretty quick.
Yeah.
And
and since you weren't in that environment culture originally, did you feel like, did you have something to prove? Like, did they make you prove yourself, or did you have to get scraps or anything like that?
It was so strange. I just made it. I've always been great at this, though. I just made a group of friends pretty fastly. You know, pretty quick. It just get into. I mesh with people, man. Again, that chameleon. I get into a group, start talking to a few people. You kind of find your people, and I did well. And you know, there was. Don't get me wrong. I didn't not have incidents, you know, like my sophomore year, I had just gotten the Dickie clothes that were waterproof. They just came out with the shirts.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah,
that were waterproof. I was so excited. I'm in class. I'm talking to a kid. I'm showing it off, you know, and he goes, well, what would you do if I dumped a bottle of water over you? And I was like, I'd kick your ass, man. And sure enough, he's like, I'll see you at lunch. And I was shaking in my boots. I was like, I don't know, man. I've never even been in a fight.
That's the worst, dude. Like the anticipation of it.
Shook me up. I told we got out though, I told my buddies, and you know, they didn't let him get within an inch of me. They're, you know, they took care, they surrounded him up, and that's cool. Our boy. You fuck with him, you fuck with us. And I was like, damn, I got a solid group here. But I immediately knew I should probably keep my mouth shut unless I really could back it up. And that was sort of when I started getting deeper into things. You know, I did Taekwondo when I was a kid.
Okay.
But I knew it wasn't worth shit if it came down to fighting, you know. The UFC had already existed, and I'd watched all of those old martial arts get kind of beat up and destroyed, and so I was like, yeah, man, I don't know that I'm really can fight. I just kind of got the bravado, and I'm tiny and I bark. Yeah. And so I make sure I hang out with a lot of big guys and a big crew, and that always kind of set me up.
That seems to work, right?
For success. Yeah. If you're like me, it did me a solid. But, you know, I figured it out. It was I learned pretty quickly to, you know, I've always adapted fast, I suppose. So it was that one incident was enough for me to say, okay, we're gonna watch what we say unless we're super confident.
Yeah, man. Well, you know, you're a veteran of the, you know, you fight to wins, you know, a lot of super fights, you know, tournament play, obviously a lot of no gi. Do you do anything in the gi? Do you fuck with the gi at all?
I have it. I have one. I've maybe rolled in it a couple dozen times. Yeah. You know, it's one of those, and it really helped me earlier on in my jiu-jitsu, as I'm sure you've gone through. You have those moments of things being stale, and you probably do the reverse. You take it off. I do. Get some no-gi breaks in there when you're feeling like your game's hurting. You know, we've had a few guys. Obviously, we get transplants. You know, guys who come from other academies that maybe trained in the gi at one point or
want more no-gi.
Yeah, they just want to test it out or whatever. And so I've thrown it on. I've rolled around. It's just slow, not really my thing. But I knew that right away. You know, that was one of those. It just never matched my personality. I never felt like, you know, and I honestly, I used to have the debate and talk shit about it back in the day. And, you know, we like Jarrell and Lexi train with us. I don't know if you're familiar.
Oh, like, absolutely. They're
great. They come in on Wednesdays and hang out. They teach some classes for us and
they
train.
Still till today?
Yeah.
Oh, no shit.
So they teach our Wednesdays Jiu-Jitsu 101 class, and they train in the evening, learn no-gi with us.
I love them.
Their main school's DeBoa, but, you know, so I give them shit. I'm like, have fun, guys. But, it's not. I've rolled in it. It's fine. I have a few little tricks, you know. I can hold my own. You know, but if somebody's like a high level purple belt or above, I get pretty throttled. Just not my.
Right. What does a day one look like at a 10th planet? Like somebody just walks in fresh. I'm talking like, let's say 30 years old, pretty athletic. What can they expect?
So they're all different. Okay. We're technically considered licensees. Okay. Right? A lot of people think we're franchised. We're not franchises. We're licensees. All we do is license the name.
Like an association that you pay dues to, and they don't fuck with your business at all.
That's it. Gotcha. Eddie just lets us do our thing, man. And so basically the vetting system is you got a black belt in the system, right? Which means, okay, you've been around a long time.
Right, yeah.
Day one at our academy, so we have a series of classes. We've just added Jiu-Jitsu 101, but we have 2 fundamental classes that happen. I typically try and push guys into those classes.
Yeah.
I think they're better for getting people started.
Yeah.
Oh, excuse me.
Yeah, because you know, cardio and strength in any other sport does not translate.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah.
Well, and you sound like you've watched my motherfucking Monday.
Absolutely.
My Monday morning videos, which I've quit doing at this point.
You gotta get those going.
Man.
Yeah.
It was killing my class attendance. My not serious guys were getting their feelings hurt. So, I need that group to live. Those guys pay bills too.
Yeah.
They are important. But so I try and push guys into those classes. I've been really fascinated by this ecological approach of jiu-jitsu, not necessarily for and the eco guys will kill me. Not for, I look at the camera. I want to, I'm not all the way in, guys. I'm not totally sold.
Yeah.
They want to do full, have you heard of this?
No.
You haven't heard of any of this yet? Okay.
No.
So this is like the Greg Souders. He's probably the biggest guy name that you've heard of.
Yep.
Someone to look into. They basically teach zero technique. They play, so think live drills at a slower paced with more constraints.
Like a flow roll?
No, not quite. Similar, but and you can add intensity or decrease it. So that if you went into one of his classes, they would say, okay, we're working on guard passing today. The whole goal of the first game, all right, is just bottom opponent is going to defend hand fighting, top opponent is going to be proactive with hand fighting.
Okay.
Right? And so then we'd break it down to just that one aspect of the game, right? Versus saying, okay, here's a live drill where it's passing, one person starts standing, the other person starts sitting, and then you just go.
Yeah.
Right? So now we take it down to these littler details, right? And now we're looking at, okay, we'd like to create a supine opponent. We want our opponent on their back. They don't really tell you how to do it. He just explains it in a very detailed way that's still sort of vague. This is the tough part about the ecological stuff. It's very hard to explain.
Yeah.
But you'd give him a very vague description that is very precise, though.
Okay.
And then you'd cut them loose to do their thing, right? But again, stay within the constraints. You're only looking to get your opponent on their back. Their whole goal is to collect center line with their feet and sit back to their butt.
Okay.
Right. And so you would add in all these games and they do them for however long, an hour. So I teach for 45 minutes at my academy. They would play the games for 45 minutes.
Okay.
And so you would have to find a pace that you could sustain. For some guys, they can go harder. For other guys, you can go slower. I think the goal is really for people to learn in a non-threatening manner.
Mm-hmm.
So if I brought in a brand new 30-year-old guy, maybe he's athletic, and I said, okay, you're going to do passing drills. He'd go, what the fuck is passing?
Right. Yeah.
And I'd go, okay, well, here is a way that we can break this down. So we started to add some of that into our beginners program.
Yeah.
I think it's really great for helping guys to understand what it is they're trying to achieve without just throwing in okay, get chest to chest, man.
Right.
Pass
yeah.
their legs, get chest to chest.
Yeah.
You know, you can break it down. I want you to create a supine opponent and then crowd the legs. I don't want you to work on totally passing yet, right? And now we're going to look at beating the knees and controlling the hips.
Oh, okay.
Right?
That makes
so,
sense. Yeah.
you're going to give them constraints,
Yeah.
and they have to stay within the constraints to really focus on the smaller details. And then when you say, okay, now you can go roll at the end of class, they go, all right, at least I know what the fuck I'm doing.
Yeah.
You know, instead of coming in, I taught you an armbar, rear naked choke, and a guard pass, and then said go roll, and you go, well, I have no idea what I'm supposed to do. So our beginners programs, Kobe Flores teaches our fundamentals on, I believe it's Tuesdays and Fridays. He is predominantly a leg locker, but he's changing. He won gold at Blue Belt Nogi Worlds this year.
Oh, nice.
I guess last year.
Yeah.
So he changed a lot of his game for that. He's really dialing in his passing, a little bit of his wrestling.
Yeah.
But very, very critical thinker, very Danaher-esque teacher, step by step.
Yeah.
And then Jarrell and Lexi are great. You know, they come in, they're all over the place, but they just understand jiu-jitsu. They've got great energy, and they run a really wonderful Wednesday class for us.
Yeah.
But you're going to come in, you're going to sign a waiver. I'm going to throw you into one of those, but I'll also throw you straight into the deep end old school. If you can't make one of those classes, come to 7 p.m., you're in all levels.
You're in.
It is what it is, you know, like that's how I started learning.
Yeah.
And but I have I'm starting to adapt and change the way I teach. I've only really been owning the academy, running my own academy for 3.5 years. So it's been interesting as the school grows. I found I've kind of had to change my direction, you know?
Yeah, of course.
I opened it with every intention of getting back into competition shape and, you know, it being about me. But, you know, I had neck surgery in 2019 before we opened.
I didn't know that.
And unfortunately, I've been falling apart for a long time. Yeah. So that wasn't really panning out the way I hoped right away. And my focus has really grown to just like my student base, you know, making them to be as best as they can possibly be.
Dude, you know, I find that whenever I'm like, okay, I'm going to compete at whatever, Master Worlds or whatever, the competitor, coach, and owner all collide.
Oh,
there's always this collision. Like something happens where I can't do this because that's going on, but wait, this is also happening. It's so difficult, man. It's so difficult.
I'm always blown away at the high level guys, you know, and I normally name our guys like PJ Barch, who runs an academy and still manages to compete as often as he does.
Yeah.
How? I don't know that I'd be able to differentiate being completely selfish and making sure that I have as much success as possible and, you know, dumping into my guys without just, you know, having other people teach for a while.
Yeah.
Which is maybe what they do. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
I have no idea.
I'm sure they get some help, right?
It gotta be.
But the thing is, like, when I was doing triathlon, I did a full distance triathlon and I learned real quick, like, you know, I have work, family, and training. Yeah. 2 of them have to suffer and it can't be training.
Yeah.
You know, and training at that level has got to be the equivalent, right? Because
for sure,
there's no way you can, I mean, man, if you're not prepared, you're done. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So that's, I don't know how they do it either, but I mean, Marcio Andre just double gold at Euros.
That's so incredible.
You know what I mean?
Good for him, man. Yeah. That's it. I don't, hey, maybe I'll get back there. That's why shout out Greg, Control PT for hooking us up. But dude. He's, you know, I started, I got over there probably 3 months ago. And he's really been taking great care of me. And my goal is to hopefully compete again by the end of the year.
Good for you.
You know, just small stuff. I'm not looking to try and go out there and be a ADCC champion or anything anymore. But I would love to get back out and just compete some. I miss it so much. Yeah. And, you know, I kind of hung it up 2019. I had a couple big wins and then I got hurt and I had to go get that surgery and I haven't been able to really get back on the mats the way I'd like to be. So
yeah. I think you fought one of my teammates. I think you fought Danny Allen.
Twice,
Yeah, Danny Allen.
He was my last 2 matches.
Was he?
Yeah. I got a fight to win. Anthony Burchek was supposed to have a match with him. Yeah. And he had to pull out.
He's an animal, dude.
He is an animal.
Oh, my gosh.
Got in there, had a great match. Gogo Plata. I use that one a lot. Sorry, Danny.
That's right. It was a Gogo Plata finish.
I got submission of the year with that. Yeah. At Fight to Win, and then he asked me for a rematch at Last Warrior Standing in Tucson.
Okay.
Drove down there, darsed him. They gave me a big old honking 155-pound championship belt. Nice. I had no idea there was anything on the line. He just said, "You want to run it back?" I was like, "Cool, let's do it."
Yeah.
And he said he wants to do another one at black belt back then. I don't know, man. I think two's pretty definitive, but if he wants one more, I'm happy to run it.
He's game, dude. He'll fight anybody.
He definitely wants to get out there, so good for him. He's competed a whole lot since then. I broke down. Yeah. My body just wasn't holding up. So.
What are you getting fixed right now through Greg?
I got a cervical disc replacement. So in like 2013, tore my ACL. Let's go all the way back. Yeah. Tore my ACL in 2012. So I'd been training only a few years. I zigged when I should have zagged in the early ages of what we'd call diagonal ashi now. Tore my own knee up. Got my when I was out, I got my purple belt a month after I tore my ACL. Had surgery in August. So this happened early. I think I got my belt in April. Didn't have surgery until August, and then didn't come back until the following April.
Holy shit.
And then came back, and sometime end of that year, 2013, I started having neck problems. Yeah. And I was 23. Wow. 23, 24, something like that. And I was going to a chiropractor, and he's, dinging me every week, and, it's not getting better. So I finally went and got an MRI, and I had osteoarthritis in my C6 and 7 and just completely almost bone on bone at that point. The disc was basically gone. And then I just ran it for until 2019 like that. Yeah. So 6 years of just, let's go, whatever. still competing, still getting after it.
Hand fighting all the time.
PT getting it. And then we had a new guy come in, and at the time, I don't know if I was a black belt yet. I think I was I would have been a black belt. Got my black belt the end of 2018. So I'd got my black belt December 2018. We had a white belt come in 2019. This was probably August. And he's like, I just want to feel what a black belt feels like. Cheesy stuff. Like, whatever. So I'm just rolling with him regular. I'm not nothing extra special.
Right.
Didn't feel anything. Went back to work after class. And I just knew, it started creeping in. And I'm like, oh, this is a bad one, because I'd bang it up every now and again. My arm would bother me. And I just had my son in May 1st. And I went home, and that whole weekend, I was just eating the leftovers of my wife's Vicodin. I was debilitated. My arm basically quit working. And
so was there like nerve damage?
Oh, yeah. The nerve's been messed up since that's what I was originally noticing.
Gotcha.
My arm was bothering me. I was doing these long drives for my boss between San Antonio, and I'd just be constantly rolling my head around and
sitting for hours.
And it would just hurt. And it really didn't matter what I did. It just hurt, and I couldn't figure it out. And I was trying massage and chiropractors and everything.
Yeah.
I'm taking Advil, 800 milligrams every 4 hours just to get it to go away, because I'm still training. Yeah. Every day as much as I can. And it just my body was just like, nah, man. But I was able to keep that up for a while before I had that incident in 2019.
Yeah.
And I immediately got into DISC is what it's called, the something or other, Spine something Institute.
Okay, yeah.
But went over there, and he was like, man, I really don't want to give you surgery. You're only, 29, I think at the time. He's like, it's really early,
It's major, yeah.
And I was like, yeah, man, but I just can't. I can't do it. I can't hold my son,
Yeah.
And he's doing all these tests. And he's like, yeah, your arm's really not working. Let's give it a month and see what happens. A month did nothing.
And did they work on anything for like inflammation or anything like that? Did they help?
So I've done it all. I did those steroidal shots at one point. They gave me 3 of those right into the disc in my neck. So I'd lay down and, they numb you up. They put this 8-inch needle in the side of your neck, and this didn't do anything, man. PT, but I was in my 20s and I'm hammering. I want to be world champ at this point. Still. I tore my ACL. I've been out a year. My goal is still to get back into form, and it's just like I can't. I'd compete even though I knew I couldn't put these camps together. I'm trying. Yeah. I can maybe roll a week pretty hard before I'm just okay. I got to just flow and try and keep my cardio good and at least my movement good. And I'd go into these competitions like not 100% and just leave so dejected. But I just keep coming back because I love it. We love it. It's part of our problem with this sport is you find something that you love this much, and
it's hard to explain to somebody who doesn't live it.
Yeah.
It's just like somebody that's playing golf and they hurt their hand. They're like, I'm out for a little while, no big deal. It's not like that, man. No. It's like you put everything into it, and I don't know if you had early aspirations to open your own place, but that adds another layer to it. You know what I mean? It's just tough.
Well, and I knew that I would have, at least I knew I had a path that way. This was always the goal. Once I realized there's really no other way to make jujitsu, money in jujitsu. Yeah. If I can't compete the way I'd like to, I don't have a name to sell DVDs and books and stuff, which used to be a thing. It's not really DVDs and books anymore.
Yeah, I get laughed at when I talk about those.
Yeah, right. I still have a stack of them at my house. I got a few books at the house, the gym, and people go, what are those? I'm like, they used to sell them.
Yeah.
But I knew an academy was really my only way that I was going to be able to do jiu-jitsu the way I wanted to do it and make money. Yeah. And I really, honestly, I've never been someone who enjoyed working for other people either. Right. Not that I expect to be a millionaire doing this, but it always sucks when your boss comes in and his Range Rover, and you're like, oh shit, dude. You're making $15 an hour, man.
Yeah. No, I spent a lot of years making other people rich.
Yeah. So, and I love those people. Don't get me wrong. I'm still great friends with all of my old bosses, and I've made a lot of friends throughout the year, but that just wasn't I could never be held down to that life. Right. It never made sense to me. I was always more of a live to work guy. Yeah. Or a work to live. Yeah. Work to live. Yeah. I've met plenty of live to work people, and that's never resonated with me. I work just enough to make just enough to, and so it was really hard for me to climb that corporate ladder per se. Yeah. Because I just wasn't as invested as other people were willing to be. Yeah. Not that I'm not a hard worker,
I know. It really didn't hit me until I opened my academy, because I love what I do, man. And like you said, it's like the energy expenditure just on like the customer service part alone is like, it's taxing. Forget about, forget about being on the mat. That's the easy part.
Yes.
But, looking back, I really admire the guys that love their jobs because I never did.
No.
I did it for money, to feed my family, and you put a roof over our heads, and I worked my ass off. I worked hard.
Yeah.
And I got, I tell people I got really good at a job I really didn't like. but now that I'm just like, dude, I'm so grateful for every day that I get to do my thing. Dude, I admire the shit out of people that,
hey, if you love it, more power to you.
Do
like
it.
My wife loves working.
Yeah.
And she's a workaholic, and she'll work, into her grave probably. That's just the person that she is.
Yeah.
And I love her for it, and I respect it because I just never, that's a style of, I'm gritty in a different way, right?
Yeah.
That's a style of grit I don't have.
Yeah.
And there's only so much getting barked at and doing other people's biddings that I got in me before I'm like, this is enough, all
Dude,
right?
if you're answering emails at night, you're in deep, bro. Like you either didn't work at all during the day and you feel guilty, or you're just in too deep.
And I was getting there. That was right on that border. And so, COVID couldn't have hit at a more perfect time, ironically, because I had just gotten a huge raise. Yeah. And it was like, if I don't lean into this, I'll be fired because they just invested a bunch in me, and they're expecting me
100%.
to invest that back, which I totally recognize and understand.
Yeah.
And so we were signing the papers, and I knew that I was going to open the gym, but it was like, I got to split time, like the gym's only going to be an evening thing until it gets going. And if it gets going well enough, sure. But otherwise, like, this has to be my baby. Like, I have to invest back in the people that invested in me. That's just the person I am. But,
absolutely.
But yeah, no, it all worked out perfect for me.
Yeah.
Luckily. So
when did you make that decision that you were going to open your own spot?
I knew fairly early on that I wanted to do that. Like that was, there was a time when we were transitioning academies a lot with John, and, there was some falling out and stuff, but I knew I wanted to be a 10th Planet gym owner, a 10th Planet black belt first. Yeah. But then I knew I wanted to run one of those academies. Yeah. And so a lot of guys were kind of falling off, and I was like, there's no way. Like, I love John, but B, this is the path I want to take. I easily could have defected to somewhere else larger. I mean, there's plenty of jiu-jitsu out here in Arizona, but I knew like 10th Planet that was me. It matched my personality, and that was a place I needed to be to thrive. Yeah. I wasn't going to have success anywhere else. Yeah. And depends on what you call success. I think I did well, but maybe not as far on the competition scene as I would have liked to have gone, but sure. I think that where I'm standing right now, I stand pretty strong on my two legs. So. Yeah. Well,
it sounds like, and it, from what I've seen online, you put a lot into it. Oh, you're technically you're smooth, dude. Like, I really enjoy watching your matches.
Thank you.
Yeah. And, so tell me about the 10th Planet belt system. Cause it matches the regular jiu-jitsu system.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But you're not wearing gis.
Nope.
And you're progressing through the belt system. Are they tying belts on you?
No. So, some do. Like, there are academies out there that will tie a belt around your waist. Yeah. Sometimes I do, depending on the person. Sometimes I think it's funny. I also don't always buy them so they fit everybody. I'm like, just give me a grip of A1s, dog. Little I don't really care. Yeah. But if there's someone small enough, I'm like, it fits you.
Give me a grip of A1.
Yeah, that's all I care about, right? I just need them so I can hand them out. Some guys actually do like rank t-shirts instead of belts. Yeah. Probably more cost effective that way.
Absolutely.
I think guys like having the belt though. I always enjoyed having the belts. John gave me his blue belt.
Oh, no kidding.
That's cool. There was a few years ago. He's like, hey man, kind of bummed I gave you my blue belt. I was like, all right, dude, it's mine now. It's in the shadow box. Fuck around.
Yeah.
Find out, dog. So I hand out belts. We do it. I don't do stripes. Some do. All 10th Planets are, again, we're all individually owned. Yeah. Some guys, there's an academy in Torrance. He gives out gray belts to adults as like, okay, you're getting there sort of thing. Okay. And I think he may still do stripes.
Like a dirty white belt?
Sort of. Yeah. Basically, like, hey, you got
Remember
yourself,
those?
You're moving.
So gross.
Yeah. I don't. I never had to wear them.
That's right.
My guy.
Shit.
Sure.
I walked right into that shit.
Yeah. No, it's all right. So I hand out belts regularly. I just base it on skill, and everybody's point is different, which I'm sure it's the same in the gi. It's really, I know there are some time-based academies out there. I'm not one of them. Yeah. I think that shit is super foo-foo lame. I just want you all to know that. I am not, and I hope you guys aren't. I do it by skill, and everybody's skill kind of reaches a certain point at a certain time, and so everybody's different, and there are guys out there that they'll never be
Right.
incredible at jiu-jitsu,
Right.
but they're here, they're dedicated, they show up consistently.
Yeah.
And that's almost more important to me than,
Yeah.
in some cases, skill is obviously important, but
Absolutely.
like, for some of those guys, you're like, man, let me just see how consistent you can be to a sport
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
really like tears you apart,
Yeah.
like it fills you up in a different way, but it beats you down
It
physically. And it sometimes can be very mentally draining.
Yeah.
When you're, especially when you're not getting those stripes and you don't really know where you're at.
Yeah.
But I also think it gives you a certain fortitude.
Yeah.
You work a little harder, and I do belt promotions twice a year. In June, which is like our anniversary.
Yeah.
So we hold an anniversary party, and then I do a
Nice.
December. And then every once in a while, if I'm just watching and I see a guy getting after it, and I'm like, oh, shit, man, I'm gonna have to promote him right now. You'll run in the back right in the middle of rolls and be like, everybody stop. This has to happen at this exact moment. But I try and lump them together because I think it gives everybody a goal.
Yeah.
I would be lying if I said you don't kind of see a uptick in training as you get towards those months, but it's to be expected.
Yeah.
And, I'm not anti-stripe system. I just don't do it. You know, we do stripes for the kids. We follow the IBJJF belt system for the kids, but we respect belts. If you come in with a purple belt, you're a purple belt. Just know it's going to take you a little longer to get to brown because I want you to know our system.
Of course.
Now, I don't make you play it. If it's not your thing, not the end of the world, but I'd like you to be able to pass it along.
Yeah.
You want to claim that you are a 10th planet brown belt.
Yeah.
You should expect to be able to teach our system.
100%, man. And what do you want all of your black belts to have in common?
Oh, geez, that's a loaded question.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. I've only given out one, and it's to my brother.
Okay.
And he wasn't, I wasn't able to promote him for all of his belts, just brown and black. Oh, wow. What do I want all of my black belts to have? That's such an amazing question, but I don't know that I have an answer.
We can table that till the end if you want to put some thought.
Let me think about it, man.
I'm not going to let you get away with that, though.
No, that's okay. That's great. I mean, I can start to spitball some stuff. I think consistency is super important. Someone who's willing to dig through, the grime of jiu-jitsu.
Sure.
They don't let the tough times get to them. Character is maturity and character, I believe, are something that are very important.
Yeah.
And I honestly, and I'm sure this probably happens for you a lot, you get a lot of very young guys.
Yeah.
And so you actually, as the belts go, you tend to watch the character and maturity grow at the same time.
That's so cool.
And so I think those are, if I was going to say most important is probably your character, the way that you uphold that belt and represent, not just me, but the system.
Yeah.
I want you to be out there holding your own in other schools, but also respectfully, like there's, you can have an air of arrogance and maybe, get carried away with it, with our sport, it's easy to let the ego kind of run away. Cause for all the people who say there's no ego in our sport, they're liars.
They're liars.
There's plenty of it. And
ego gets you to come back.
Yeah. Well, you have to have it, that's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
And it's mostly checking your ego that allows you to come back.
Yeah.
I think character might be the one thing that I'd like to see across the board is just how are you when you talk to other people? How do you treat other people? How do you represent that black belt? Because I think that it's kind of maybe a cop-out answer, but character can overlap in a lot of places.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. Yeah.
You can say a lot of things. I want him to be tough.
Yeah.
I want him to be this, that, but I think that's probably more important than, because there'll be plenty of black belts I hand out, I'm sure, over the decades that, maybe not everybody's going to be tough and gritty.
Yeah.
And they just were there.
Yeah.
And they put the time in and I respect that. That is a portion of our game. You spend the same money as everybody else.
Yeah.
You learned all the same technique. Just because maybe you weren't as physically gifted, I can't hold that against you.
Right.
You're skilled. You're helping the other guys that come in. Place for everybody on our mats. I would like to think so, at least.
Yeah, it's a lot of responsibility, and the belt can feel kind of heavy when you first get it. You know what I mean? But when I ask that of black belts, like, what do you want all of your black belts to have in common? Yeah. Nobody ever says, I want them to kick everybody's ass.
Yeah, right. I would hope not, I guess. Yeah. Maybe, okay, that's good. At least that,
Yeah.
But character, I think, is super important.
Yeah.
That's funny you say that the belt was heavy. I honestly thought it was freeing. I
Really?
thought the belt was it was such a relief.
Yeah, it's
that
cool.
black belt was, because it was so much work, right? And there's so much focus that goes into developing just your game.
Yeah.
Right? Like we all, White belt, you're just kind of learning the ropes. Blue belt, you kind of figured them out. Purple, you've sort of developed a game.
Yeah.
Brown, you're honing it, and then by black, you've figured out your game, right? But it's a lot of the time you're really only focusing on that one singular goal, right?
Yeah.
It's all coming to a head, a point, and at least the way that I've always was for me, and getting there was really like the doors opened and look at all this jujitsu I neglected. Yeah, you know, to really focus.
Oh, I never thought of it that way. Yeah.
I felt like a white belt again because it was like, man, all this shit that I sucked at North South. So it was like, okay, I can dive into this, and now there's no pressure, right?
Yeah.
Like for a while it felt like more pressure as a brown belt than any place, for me, because I really just wanted to achieve that. I was a brown belt as long as I was every other belt, and so for me, it was like, man, I feel like I kind of got stuck in a hump there. And, I had kids and my career started to develop and I was injured more. And so I slowed down, and so it wasn't like I didn't know why, but it was really, I don't want to say disheartening because that's not the case. I made it all the way, but it was really like, I wanted to get there more than ever, It was like, man, I have these goals that I wanted to achieve, and things got in the way, and it wasn't like, they weren't bad things, I wanted to be home for my kids. My wife worked in the evenings. I worked during the day. Like, someone had to be there. I was still teaching classes, and I was still at the academy a lot. And so when it happened, it was really just like, this relief for me where I can focus on all of the parts of my game that I didn't want my coach to see that I was terrible at, right?
Okay, yeah, I can see that.
Because, I'm sure he would have respected me working on those things either way. We're all working all the time anyways, right? But I really, when I was rolling in front of him, I wanted him to see me honed. I wanted him to see me skilled. I wanted him to see my A game so he could, that could be related back to, man, he's ready.
Yeah.
And then the second that happened, it was like, here we go. All this jujitsu I've had to kind of put off to focus on making sure that I could achieve that one singular goal.
That's cool, man. Yeah. No, I agree, and it's funny because if you get a white belt, that's just starting out with you, they look at it as like the top of the mountain.
Oh yeah,
it's the base of the mountain. It really is. You've reached the base of the mountain. Now you get to climb, right?
Oh, 100%.
Crazy, right?
Guys don't understand, man. But you have to have a first goal, right?
Yeah.
Which is, obviously blue, purple, brown.
Yeah.
You go through all those, excuse me. But you have to have something. You have to have something to start, right?
Yeah,
and that black belt is extremely alluring,
It
You're
is.
looking at that thing and you're like, wow, but there's and maybe I believe a lot of guys don't recognize how much jujitsu there is after it. I would even say at brown belt, I didn't have any idea. I'd heard it, but until I got there, it was really hard for me to kind of comprehend what people meant by, you get to be a white belt again, It was like, oh, sure, whatever, I guess.
Well, and you can't really appreciate how small the margin for error gets until you get to like late purple. You know what I mean? When you're going against a guy that's in the second year at purple belt, he's not going to make a lot of mistakes, right? Blue belt, there's some mistakes here or there. You feel them when you're training with your guys. But man, you hit that brown belt, the mistakes become fewer. You hit that black belt, the mistakes become fewer. And I'm in the masters division. I'm like in the upper masters division, masters 5. Yeah. So when I compete, like, this past year at Master Worlds, I competed with the founder of BJJ Revolution.
Oh shit.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's not going to make a lot of mistakes.
No, not many.
So you got to hone your skill. And I talk to my guys all the time because I'm known as the pressure guy. Like I can get on top and create a lot of pressure. And I love playing the mount game. Yeah. But I tell them like it took me years to develop. I failed more than I've succeeded in mount because it took me a long time to develop that mount.
I'm sure they scoff. Sure. And you're like, you have no idea, man.
You have no idea, dude.
No idea. Yeah, I was always small, man. That wasn't my realm, but I developed it over the latter half of my jiu-jitsu. And, I've gotten bigger these last few years. Shout out TRT.
Yeah.
but yeah, no, I totally resonate with that, man. I understand what you're saying. And it is fascinating, isn't it?
It is.
I just love it though. I love the fact that it's like, it's endless. Yeah. It really is endless. And I think the hardest part is, trying not to become that old dog, right? That can't learn new tricks.
Right.
Because I want my academy to be a competitive academy, And so you have to stay with the times. And
100%.
I'll find myself teaching things and then rolling and going, shit, man, I really got to dial that in because that is kind of the new generation of things. Yep. And I would like that to be a part of my game, but you can kind of get caught in those patterns.
Absolutely.
Your body just moves, right? I've spent so much time letting my mind not think and my body do the work that,
Yeah.
you know, sometimes you do got to go, hey man, all right, pump the brakes. We really got to dial in some new shit here.
Yeah.
This is an old habit we have to break, and we got to dial it in for the new age.
Yeah, man. And that's something that I really came to the realization, you know, man, just like maybe 2-3 months ago.
Yeah.
You know, you spend so much time running your own academy, studying your own film, and, you know, getting ready for curriculums and stuff like that. And I'm like, I still need a coach.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I still need one.
Yeah.
So, you know, I went back to my old instructor. I'm like, hey man, I need to figure out a way to get here, be here. You know, I can't be in the evenings. That's when I teach, but maybe during the day classes, stuff like that. And, yeah, man, everybody needs a coach.
Yeah. Who's
you
your
know?
instructor?
Paul Nava.
Paul Nava. Okay,
Yeah,
wonderful.
yeah. I got my black belt under Paul.
Yeah.
And he's got a guy, Ramsey Green, who's doing the day classes. And Ramsey's like a young competitor guy, you know.
Wonderful. Yeah.
So I can learn a lot from
Just
him.
what you need. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
So
that's awesome.
so and I'm that old dog that I want to learn new tricks. Like I want to implement as much shit as I can while my body can
100%.
still do it.
Yeah,
you know?
no, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I try, I really respect that. I wish, I probably need the same. I do a lot of studying though, man.
Me too.
I feel like I am
Me too.
constantly
Yep.
studying,
Study drill.
studying,
Yeah.
studying. Yeah.
Yeah, man. Now you mentioned competition. So let's talk about your philosophy on competition.
Yeah.
Well, let's start like at the base level. You got a white belt comes in, right? Super eager, got some talent, right? Maybe a little bit of wrestling background. How do you guide that person? Do you treat I mean, obviously you're going to treat everybody as individuals, but do you have like a standard program that you put them through before they do their first competition, or you just kind of get a feel?
If they want to do it, do it.
Yeah.
You know, I always tell them the first one's kind of a wash.
Yeah.
You know, like I got lucky. I went in there, did my first tournament, no training, won second place. Like I'm not normal. All right. I am abnormally okay at jujitsu. But a lot of guys go out there. I just say, hey man, the first one's a wash unless you've wrestled at some point or whatever. Like, you know, go out there with zero expectations, have fun, really work your cardio, you know, because that's going to be your biggest downfall. You're going to get out there and you think you're rolling hard in the gym. You're going to get out there and realize what real hard rolling is.
Yeah.
You know, but I let guys go into it right away if they want.
That's
you know,
cool.
And everybody's different. They'll typically tell you.
Yeah.
You can get a read on folks pretty quick, in my opinion. You know, they'll come in and they'll start chatting with you, and you can tell by the way they're prodding around it.
Yep.
You know, I announce the competitions that are happening locally at the beginning of at the end of every class.
Okay.
I make sure they know, hey, we've got this coming up, this, who's doing what, hands come up. And then normally I'll get approached at the end of class by a new guy.
Yeah.
You know, hey, so when do you think you should do? Whenever you want, man. You know, the first one's always going to suck.
Yeah.
You know, and then but once you get an idea and you can kind of gauge, hey, maybe you're not into it, you're not sure you want to do it, just come and watch. Come hang out. It's going to be happening. Then you can sort of get an idea of the flow.
They'll get that bug. Yeah.
Right away. And so I love competing.
Me too.
I've been able to do it in a while, but I love competing and I love watching my guys compete. And that's something that I really want to be as a competitive academy.
Yeah.
I want my jiu-jitsu to be functional. And I believe the way that I teach really blends well for not only MMA and self-defense, but obviously sport jiu-jitsu, right?
Yeah.
And so I do often make I'll stop. We'll be doing sport jiu-jitsu and I'll be like, here is not a good place where we want to hang out. Out in the streets or, you know, if, for my guys that want to fight or are fighting, you know, we want to make sure that we're moving on from this point pretty quickly. But I just let guys have at it, man.
Yeah.
You know, if you're down, I did it twice before I ever even touched a real jiu-jitsu mat.
Nice.
You know, I was rolling around in the dirt in the backyard.
Yeah.
You know, now, not everybody's me.
Right.
You know?
Right.
I totally understand that. If you're not ready, I'm also not pushing you.
Right.
You know, I'm not trying to make you do something you're not comfortable with because, you know, going back to the customer service thing, man, I'll chase you out of there real quick.
Well, I mean, you're kind of meeting people where they're at, right?
100%,
And that's really the key to customer service, I think.
Yeah,
but,
no, you're not wrong.
Yeah. But so what about you got a blue belt that is, you know, he's really itching to get to, you know, that really competitive, wants to, you know, take a shot at world championships.
Yeah.
What's your path for them? Like, how do you train those guys?
Yeah. So we had a specific comp class, but guys weren't really coming to it. So I do most of my stuff in the classroom. So my guys that are really competitive, they're there every night.
Yeah.
They come to all of my classes. So I have eyes on them constantly.
Yeah.
I watch them roll and I make sure that we're just tweaking.
Nice.
And so IBJJF Worlds was really eye-opening for me. That was the first. I went to Worlds in 2011. I didn't even make weight. I didn't get to compete. I've never done another IBJJF tournament other than trying to do that one.
Yeah.
That was my first big tournament I ever had to make weight at, and didn't work out.
Didn't work out. Yeah. Wait, can I ask what weight you were trying to make?
Oh God, what's 130 something probably?
Oh, okay. So you were like You were down in like, so light feather's 141. No, it's in the 130. So you're making light feather.
Yeah, it would have been like 136 or something, 134 somewhere in there.
Because I'm thinking gi. I'm thinking gi, and it's no gi's lighter.
I was probably walking around at 140 when I first, back then when I was a blue belt. Wow. I started jiu-jitsu at like 135 pounds. Soaking wet too. You had to drench me in water to make me heavy. And then I've slowly put weight on, you know, probably when I got my black belt, I was probably $145. Okay. Just from like doing jiu-jitsu for 9 years. And then I got on testosterone in 2021, I think, something like that. And so the last few years, I've packed on probably 30 pounds. Just from lifted and eating. Yeah. Walking around like 168-ish.
Awesome.
Yeah, I was up to 178. And then I was like, I started rolling with some of my big guys after I've been with Greg for a little bit. I was like, okay, I'm going to start rolling again. And I was like, oh, I do not need to be competing yet. They're all like 6 foot,
monsters,
6'2".
Dude.
Yeah, they're giant. I'm like, that's not where, I mean, I do fine, don't get me wrong, but it's because I have a massive skill gap. I'm like, I don't need to be rolling with other black belts that are cutting to 170 something. So I'm actively working my way back down with the goal of competing at the end of the year. I'm shooting for the 148 class. Yeah. You know, if I can get down to 65 and then diet real hard and maybe cut a few pounds, we'll see.
Yeah. If you need a diet coach, I got a real good one.
I would love one.
Yeah. I'll send you her info.
That would be wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah.
But for my guys, so this year's going to be big. I need to do some implementing still. We're about to expand. We're moving into a larger location.
Congratulations,
upstairs.
man.
Shout out, the internet knows now.
Yeah.
But we're going to be moving upstairs, adding another 1,000.
Are you announcing it on the show?
Just happened. Yeah, there they go. They got it. Show announcement, baby.
Yeah.
We're going to be moving upstairs, adding another 1,000 square feet.
Wow.
We really only have, you said 650 square feet for you. We're in a 2,000 square foot spot. We only really have like 750 square feet of mats.
Yeah, okay.
So we get pretty packed, but I have over 20 classes a week. So we've really...
good for you.
We've stretched out our program to make sure that we're not, because we were like 32 heads for like months at one point. And I was like, all right, I got to add some classes.
You do. Yeah.
Dudes are running into each other.
Yeah.
But part of that move, I'm going to add in a pro class, right? We're not necessarily, I'm working with a lot of
idea.
Blues and purple still. We're still a growing academy, but you know, I've got some dudes that are really on the up and up and can make some noise if we can get them in the right space. But currently, I really hone them in just in class. I'll pull them aside. I'll be like, hey, we need to dial that, blah, blah, blah. We got to fix this. I need you to start focusing on this. You know, I've always had a very keen eye for jiu-jitsu, particularly from the outside.
Yeah.
I can watch. I've got great osmosis, good pattern recognition. You know, I've always just been, jiu-jitsu just made sense to me.
Yeah.
I wasn't someone who had to do all the extra. I probably never studied tape on my way up. Like I just trained a lot and I got good because I loved it. And I don't know. I really have
good for you.
Yeah, I was just lucky. But
we call it jiu-jitsu IQ. Yeah. You had a really high jiu-jitsu IQ.
I always had great jiu-jitsu IQ. Yeah, just great body mobility and control.
Yeah.
And I always did really well in that aspect. But I believe it's translating really well for my guys. I'm seeing a lot of, last year was a huge growth spurt for my guys. You know, I got dudes that are coming up, Kona, Marco, Kobe, you know, Zach. I got Andreas Ponce with me now.
Nice.
Matty Geiger. We've got some real killers in the gym.
Yeah.
A lot of dudes that are taking it really serious, and they're there constantly.
You got the makings of a pro class, dude. That's good. Yeah.
And so that's really where I plan on dropping a lot of focus into them. But to be perfectly honest, it's mostly, I don't feel like they're, and maybe I'm wrong, maybe it's just my philosophy, I don't feel like there's a lot of skill gap to be made up right before a tournament. I mainly focus on the rule set, making sure that we understand how to game the rule set and get your fucking cardio right.
Yeah.
You know, because I hate taking dudes to tournaments and it's like they didn't put the extra work in.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you can't just train all week and expect it to be enough. Like
that's where injuries happen. Dude.
It is, man.
Yeah.
I really, and we have a, you know, I'm going to shout my gym out. We have a cold plunge. We have a sauna.
Nice.
I try and make sure that they have the extracurricular stuff. That,
don't say that out loud. My guys are going to be like, where's our
sauna? Sorry, dude. Sorry, guys.
Yeah.
But I try and make sure they have the extra stuff because I think it's important.
It is.
I didn't really do any of that coming up and having the body I ended up having, I kind of attest some of that to it. So I tell my guys, hey, I need you lifting twice a week.
Yeah.
You know, I need you hitting the cold plunge. I need you hitting the sauna. And for God's sake, if you're going to compete, please go run some hill sprints.
Yeah.
You know, just get a little extra cardio in, something that's going to push you to your limit. Because in here, you're never really going to reach that threshold of competition grade.
You can't.
You just can't replicate competition in the classroom. Now, I can make you as skilled as possible. I can get you buttery smooth. We can hit hard rounds, but I really need you putting in that extra work that's going to tell your body like, okay, we're getting in gear.
Yeah.
You know, I need this to translate back to what we're doing. So whether you're, however you want to get that cardio in, you know, that zone 2, that zone 5 are the 2 I specifically asked for. Whatever you're looking for, however you want to do it, go find a way, make sure you're getting it in. You want to assault bike it out, do that. You know, you want to just go to the park and run hill sprints. You want to get together with somebody and do some hit.
Yeah.
I don't really care.
Right.
You know, that's on your time.
Yeah.
On my time, we're going to make sure that we're training jujitsu.
Yeah.
But I want you to know that to have the best success possible, you need to make sure that cardio is tip top.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I see it more often than not, particularly at those low levels. Those guys will be training super hard. They don't take their cardio serious enough. They come in,
they're just not there.
3 matches in and they're dying, and you're like, dude, you got 2 more, man.
Yeah.
It's time to dig deep.
Dude, they're going into places, especially in the adult divisions, where you could win 4 and not podium.
Yeah, no, we went to, so I just took 2 guys out to Long Beach for the ADCC Open.
Yeah.
Matty Geiger and Kona Gilo, and Matty had a tough day, you know, 2 losses, but Kona went 4-1, made it into the finals. Just turned 18. All 4 of his wins by submission.
Nice.
Looked incredible. Yeah. You know, and that was the first time he'd shown up to a tournament and really like seen what he was capable of, and that was huge for me.
Yeah,
you know, because I got him when he was 15.
Wow.
He's been jumping into the adult tournaments because he came straight to adult class. I mean, he was in the kids class for a bit, but transitioned fairly quickly, and so he really just didn't give himself a chance to build his confidence. Yeah, he ran Naga in the 17-year-old division, expert, won the belt over there, and then excuse me, I'm sorry.
No, you're
He's got me drinking, guys. He got a little burp. But took him out there, and his parents were so ecstatic. They're like, ROI, baby.
Yeah.
The return on investment.
100%.
And I was like, I've been trying to tell he's really good. He just needs some time to fill out.
Yeah.
You know, and he's just a kid trying to do these adult divisions. It's hard.
Yeah.
You know, you don't got man strength. Like, it's a completely different
It's
game
tough.
than in the gym. You can catch a dude that walks in that's, you know, not taking it easy on you, but he's not trying to kill you like guys do in competition.
Yeah, and you know, there's a big difference between an 18 or 19-year-old and a 25-year-old.
Oh, 100%.
Huge difference.
Yeah, I mean, I was a tiny guy, and like 25 was big for me.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I'm 140 pounds now. Look at me. You know,
I filled out, baby.
I'm still a child. Everybody's like, okay, Steele, calm down. Over
yeah.
there. You know, I'm like,
But you know, going back to the cardio, if you live in Scottsdale and you're telling me you can't find a hill.
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah, you can find them. I mean, right next to the gym, we've got Cactus Park. Now, I will say this. We get guys who drive all over because there's only 3 of us in the valley.
Yeah.
Goodyear, us, and Phoenix. Phoenix is technically in Mesa, you know, and so Goodyear's it's technically, he just moved. He's in Avondale, so he's way out there on the west side.
Yeah.
And we're in the
So you're more central.
Ish, to Phoenix. Phoenix, you know. You know, and the way we're built, Eddie, you know, we have a bubble around us, so we can't encroach on each other's area and stuff. But, you know, we get guys that drive from all over. So I get a lot of guys from Phoenix. I've had guys come from Apache Junction.
Wow.
You know, we got a guy who he was training with me at John's in the morning class. He drives from Coolidge.
Shit.
He makes the haul from Coolidge because he's just like, he loves what I do.
Yeah.
You know, and he fell in love with me, and he'll follow me wherever I go.
Wow.
You know, but you know, we had a cat driving down from Payson 4 nights a week to hit all of our classes.
That's
you
cool.
know, when guys find the system and they love the system and you build a culture they want to be around, like they're willing to travel.
That's the key, man. That's
it really
the key.
is.
And you know, like when you started jiu-jitsu, there, you know, forget about jiu-jitsu. I mean, 10th Planet, you just couldn't find it.
Yeah.
But there might have been 5 jiu-jitsu academies. You know what I mean? And now they're all over the place. But people will drive past 10 of them to get to the place they really want to be.
And I talk about this all the time because it's, you know, it's why the customer service portion is so important, right? Because like 20 years ago, there was how many schools in the Valley? I don't know. I'm just guessing 15, maybe, right? And so it's like back then, and you see some of those old school coaches and you hear about them, you were lucky to get to train with them.
Of course.
You know, and that was like, man.
Yeah.
But then if you don't adapt and change with the times and you try and hold that philosophy, it's like, dude, there's 15 schools within 15 minutes of me. I have to stand out.
Yeah.
I can't be, hey man, you should be lucky to get to train at a 10th Planet, dog. Like there's 2 others. you can split the difference or drive 15 extra minutes and be at a different one. Like what's going to set me apart, right? Like it's the way that I treat you, the way that I invest in you, the way I invest in the school and make sure that you have what you need available for the best success you can have.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like if I want you to be doing all of this extracurricular work, all these extra hill sprints and stuff, you better believe I want to have the tools for you to recover as quick as possible in the academy.
Yeah.
I'm not going to tell you, hey man, go spend more money somewhere else.
Right.
You know, and that's not, it takes time. Like we were very lucky. I suppose the whole reason I'm here is the camp, right? That camp was really what got me here. The camp was really what allowed us to invest back in the academy like that. But like that was, we hosted the camp, and the camp was
Talk
really
about that a little bit more.
First year, 2021. I was like, well, let's do it local. If we're going to build the brand, let's bring in some local instructors and try and just bring the community together.
Yeah.
You know, like I obviously came up in a time where, look, man, we didn't do a lot of cross training in our day.
Right.
You know, you're in the gi, you might've done more than me, but like training no gi and being 10th planet, like I didn't do hardly any, you know, like I get laughed out of a place if I rolled up in there, you know? So, and really it was super taboo then. And, so I know there's some stigma between some of the guys that have been around a long time in the Valley, and I never had to deal with any of it.
Yeah.
And so I was like, well, let's try and bring some people together. I don't know if they got beef. I don't know if they don't. Whatever. I'm going to try and cram them in a room and get these schools together. So we brought out my instructor, John Botello. We brought out Jay Pages. We brought out Paul Nava. We brought out Issa Abel.
Yep.
And then I brought in Brandon McCaffrin and PJ Barch.
Nice.
You know, we wanted to have some big names to kind of help be a lure, but I also wanted to get some of the other academies guys in and just sort of make like a safe space for everybody to train.
Yeah.
Again, I think it's a cheesy saying, but sometimes it has to exist. Right?
I think it's great, dude.
I think it's good, considering there are a lot of places that don't want you to cross train in the academy. So, you know, that was sort of my olive branch. Like, hey guys, if you guys want to come down, they're more than welcome. You know, we're going to create an academy that really tries to envelop the community. Yeah. And, so the first camp we did a morning and an afternoon. You know, we had to split everybody up. Sorry. Right. We had to split everybody up into two groups, and, you know, they were small. I think we had about 50 people in total. We had failings involved. We provided rash guards for everybody at just the cost of entry. Yeah. And we did little goodie bags to give guys little knickknacks and stuff. And it went off without a hitch. It was wonderful. We thought it was so great. Yeah. And Jason loved it so much. He goes, let's make it bigger. Let's really do this. And I was like, okay. And so the following year we doubled it. We doubled the size. We brought out all of the freak group. So we brought out PJ Barch again. We brought out Boogie and Gio, Kevin Burbrick, Gabe Tuttle, and Ben Eddy. Wow. And so then we rented out Victorium.
No shit.
Yeah. They invested a large mat space for us. So we have 2,500 square feet of mat.
You know, we experience this at a very small level when you do like a seminar. Mm-hmm. You bring somebody in for a seminar. I think the most I've ever made on a seminar is like $35.
Yeah, they're tough, man. It's hard.
Yeah, so I can't imagine this kind of undertaking with sponsors and people bringing out, you know, the price of entries and gosh,
so
man,
we made it. I think barrier to entry cost that year I think was only $250. We kept it super cheap. Following year we did Kyotera and Mason Fowler. Yeah, we brought out Tom DeBlas and Gary Tonin. And then we did, I always butcher his name, Cucino. Yeah. And Josh Cisneros. And so we did a couple of local guys, again, trying to reach out to the community. But Josh just had a really, really great showing at ADCC. He's a big name. Yeah. Mason also had a great showing. Gary didn't have the best showing, unfortunately, but we all know who Gary Tonin is.
He's a legend, dude.
A legend in the sport. His showing, that was not indicative of what he's capable of, and we all know that. Yeah. But I think the most we charged that year was $350. Wow. Maybe it was $400.
And you had like a drop in for a day kind of thing, right?
We do day passes. So if you just want to come for a day, it's like a third of the cost plus a little. Yeah.
What are you calling it? What are you calling the camp?
It's the No-Gi Spring Training Camp.
No-Gi Spring Training. Okay.
Yeah. And so
I will be there this year.
Yeah. I got you, man. Don't worry.
Appreciate that.
We would love to have you in.
I would love it.
The wife trains too, I assume.
Yeah.
We'll get her into
Awesome, man. Thank you.
So this year we've got we really tried to stack it this year. So the following year, we kind of did like master and apprentice. And we try and keep a theme. This year, we really struggled with a theme. We had one, and we sort of tried to bring those people in, but you wouldn't believe how hard it is to get a hold of some of these folks. So I believe as we build brand, it'll be easier to get a hold of guys. But
well, you've got the resume now.
We're trying.
Yeah, no, you've got the resume because it's a big deal, man. That's really cool.
And to be perfectly honest, like because because it is sponsored, and like while we do come out of pocket, like it is important for us to do this for the community.
Yeah,
and so it's sort of why I'm here, because it's, you know, there was academies I was going to handing out flyers, and they're like, I've never even heard of this thing.
Wow.
And you're like, wow, I went to 20 academies, and most of them had never even heard of the camp. And it's, you know, it's like, wow, it's sort of scratching my head here, because you would think that with the jiu-jitsu community we have here in Arizona, it would catch wind and sort of spread around. But we honestly get a lot of traveling people, because it's an experience.
Of course.
You know, it's a full weekend. It's a Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
And where the last one was like in Scottsdale, right?
It's still at Victorium. We hold it out of it, so it'll be out of Victorium again this year.
Okay.
We are considering making a move next year, but we'll see how this year goes. It really just depends, you know. With the larger space, we might be able to run it in-house.
Yeah, the only issue I've ever had with Victorium is the parking.
Parking sucks there.
Yeah, that's the only issue.
There's the new soccer field, and as long as that gate's open, you can park in that soccer
field.
field.
I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, they just added that, and
that's good.
Which was, we had that. We were like, oh man, what are we gonna do in here? But they, Jake that runs Victorium, wonderful guguy, loves jiu-jitsu. I mean, they're running tournaments out of there like crazy. Yes, the parking does suck.
Yeah. Well, I drive a 21-year-old Jeep.
Oh, okay,
and it mostly looks abandoned, so I just park it somewhere. I just
and
put it up.
Even
no,
cares,
fucks it. They won't even tow it.
Into the dirt.
They won't even tow it. I was like, yeah, nobody wants that
Drop
thing.
it in the desert out there. This year, though, we have John Calistine, we have Dante Leone, the 2023 Grappler of the Year.
Yeah.
Male Grappler of the Year, I should specify. Apparently that matters. Andy Varela, Robert Deagle, Ethan Crelliston, and Giancarlo Bodoni.
Whoa,
ADCC
nice, man.
champion from 2022, I guess. Yeah. And so we really tried to step it up this year and bring out some heavy hitters. And
hell yeah, dude.
It's been great, because like we booked some of those guys right after ADCC, and you know, while they were still, and they've put on this year. Yeah. And it's like, oh man, they're only getting better, which is great for us, because that
you already booked them.
we already booked them, because the cost would have been astronomical.
Yeah.
So we're so ecstatic to be having these people out, because you know, and I'd be lying if I selfishly didn't say, like, some of these dudes I'm just like a huge fan of.
Yeah.
And would love to have in the room.
Yeah.
And like, while I don't get to participate a ton, the way that I'd like to, it's you know, just to get to shake hands and talk to these dudes and kind of pick their brain when I have them in the car between the airport and the camp and stuff is like huge, you know, because you know, as a podcast you get to do things like that, but you know, as a normal dude in jiu-jitsu, it can be kind of hard to corner those guys. And so we're really just trying to top ourselves every year. The beautiful thing is the top dudes are ever changing, you know, so it's not like it's not terribly hard to do. It's true, you know, and but I do try and lean in and bring a 10th Planet guy here and there as I can, of course, you know, but it is I want to bring guys that the community likes to see. And all I wish is for more people to do no-gi jiu-jitsu.
Me too. So here's the thing, like everybody tells me, you know, oh, the sport is going more to no-gi, and I believe it. I believe it's true.
Competitively.
However, like if you look at my gi classes versus I do the same. I have an equal amount of gi and no-gi classes in my academy. And the gi classes are they're just better attended.
Way more packed.
Yeah, they're just better attended.
I mean, 99% of jiu-jitsu is in the gi.
Yeah.
We recognize it, and you know, it was funny because Josh is like, "You ever Cisneros?" He's like, "You ever plan on doing one of these in the gi?" And I was like, "Nope, not me." But the more you sit around, you start seeing registration. You're like, "Hey, maybe we could triple what we do if we were willing to, you know, do some gi in here as well."
Be true to yourself, Steeyle.
Yeah, you're
Be
not
true
wrong.
to yourself.
Yeah, fuck the gi. All right. Screw all you guys. No, just kidding. I don't hate the gi. I just, you know, the camp is selfishly for me, and you know, I'm like a kid in a candy store getting to pick the guys that come out, and I think it's, you know, I'm trying to shake hands with all these leaders of gyms around, and really, I just think it's important to bring the community together, whether it's around no-gi or gi, it's jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
You know, and I think it's the one thing that we all kind of get together and can
100%.
Go, we love this.
We love this shit.
We love this shit. Let's do it.
And you got a guy like Giancarlo, man, to sit there and just listen to him, how he breaks things.
Yeah.
I paid money just to do that.
Yeah. Like, well, and so we do, you know, we make sure that the seminars are shorter. We only do an hour and a half.
Perfect.
You know, it's 3 days. I couldn't cram you full of, you know, 3-hour sessions twice a day. You'd lose your fucking mind.
Yeah.
Your bodies. I mean, most of these guys are shot by Sunday anyways, which we recognize, and I totally understand. It's hard.
Yeah.
Excuse me again, man.
No worries.
This hazy IPA getting me. But you know, I think it's I think the shorter sessions are better for learning, better for retention.
Yeah.
And we do a Q&A at the end. So we also add in other things. So this year, Greg's going to come.
Nice.
We've done yoga in the past. I didn't find that it was the most attended thing. People would stick around for it. We'd like to add like a break in, essentially.
Yeah.
Greg's going to do some sport specific stretching,
Nice.
which I think is going to be really great. He's got some stuff developed by a black belt for Jiu-Jitsu, by a Jiu-Jitsu guy, taught by a Jiu-Jitsu brown belt who's a physical therapist. So
best one in the valley.
Yeah, 100%.
Best one in the valley.
And I'm hoping that resonates with people. Not that that's really why they're there, but I think it's one of those things that's like, I just think it's so important. Your health is just so important in the sport.
Have you ever considered doing a sports psychologist?
We had one last year.
How was that attended? Pretty well?
It went really well. Honestly, because of the time that we had him, more people stuck around for it. We didn't get one on this year just because we are at maximum budget.
Gotcha.
If there's somebody local and you want to put me in contact with,
I don't. Yeah, but like I said before, when I was doing triathlon, I had the opportunity to be at a seminar with one, and just those little tools that he gave me were fantastic.
They were so great. So we had Connor Hune out last year. He's a 10th Planet black belt, runs 10th Planet Denver.
Okay.
Shout out them. But unfortunately, the budget was just too I mean, we brought out all these heavy hitters, and heavy hitters come with heavy price tags.
Yeah, 100%.
So it was, we kind of had to trim the fat a little bit, and so we're hoping if we can build the showing that we're looking for this year, that will carry us over into next year, so that we can start to add that back in, because I think that was really well received.
Yeah.
That was one of the things that we got a lot of compliments on. We also do a breathwork seminar.
Oh, nice.
And this year we're going to add the addition in during lunch of having 2 tubs outside, so that some folks can do some guided plunges with those people.
Very cool.
That are coming in.
Yeah.
I just want to try and open the community's mind to not only the jiu-jitsu, but the health and wellness that's so important and should surround your jiu-jitsu. I'm no Hickson Gracie, but if I can try and convince you to breathe and stretch a little more, I think it's important.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Yeah. And when we're first starting out, like you and I feel like we just fell in love with this.
Oh yeah.
And you just put your body through this torture because you just want to do it you just want to do it so much. And I think if we would have taken some time early on to really take the recovery as seriously,
for sure,
we would be in much better shape.
Oh, undoubtedly. Yeah. And I don't know that it existed, but really only at a very high level back then, It didn't, not for general practitioners like we were, I was competitive, but it wasn't, and I had goals of being at that level, but I was also in my 20s, man. Right. I wanted to drink and party.
Yeah.
So we'd finish a tournament, we'd go drinking all night, drown those sorrows or celebrate, and it was, and I wish I'd have put more effort and energy into hitting the gym. But I understand that it's a lot of, especially if you really are only a general practitioner, it's a lot of added, effort for a hobby.
Yeah, for sure.
You're like, man, I got to, now I have to have a membership over here, and I need a gym membership, and I need to pay for my jiu-jitsu, which isn't inexpensive,
right?
On top of all of the other shit that I have to manage in my life. I get it. And so, my goal long-term is really to open a studio that sort of has all-encompassing, man. I want to make sure I have the equipment for you to lift. Yeah. We'll be open all day. I want you to be able to really be professional if you want to be professional, and/or even if you don't, the equipment's there. You want to use it. You don't want to pay for an EOS and an optimized membership so you can cold plunge and sauna. We have it. Use it. It's here for you.
Yeah, and I think you'll be able to hit a price point where it'll just make sense.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
We went to the bougie part of town for a reason. I live in Mesa. I'm like 15 minutes from you, man. So I'm more downtown, but we moved up there for a reason, and it's because I knew that this bigger picture idea, dream that I had, it could thrive up there. It can exist in that area. There are parts of the valley you couldn't build an academy and expect someone to pay for all of it. But, up there, I could make it happen. Yep. We could build the clientele that want to pay for all of that. Yep. And that's my goal. Is it's not to get rich. It's to build a space where you can do everything that you need to do to accomplish your dreams.
Yeah, it's okay for you to get rich, bro.
I would like to. You'll know. You'll know when I start rolling up in the Porsche and, my gold chain, and I don't even know what I'd wear. I really only wear Birkenstocks.
Just have a grill.
Maybe, I'll go all Paul Wall on you. Bring a little Texas in the house.
That's right.
But you will know when I made it. Okay?
Right.
We're a long ways away. There's still there's still I got a lot of dream left to chase. So.
Yeah, man. What's the dates on the camp?
Camp is March 8th through 10th this year. So it's a Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Okay. Friday
starts at 3 p.m. or doors open at 3 p.m. We run from 4 to about, I want to say 6:30, 7:30.
Okay.
I don't have that time exactly dialed in my
problem.
mind.
Yep.
And then Saturday and Sunday are, I believe, doors open at 9. We start at 10 and we run till around 5:30. We provide lunch Saturday and Sunday.
Okay.
Ain't nothing crazy, but we got you hooked up with all them Costco sandwiches and stuff.
Perfect.
Because it's a long day and,
Yeah.
and you're spending a chunk of change.
Yeah.
Currently entry is $300. It's not going up before the camp. It's super cheap. You're not wrong. So $300 to enter. You get a free rash guard.
Wow. Are you still with Phalanx? Or
We're still with Phalanx.
Yeah, cool.
Phalanx has been wonderful to us. Chris is Martinez he's a wonderful human who has the same vision or likewise vision as me.
Nice.
You know, he really he wants to give back.
Nice.
That's it. He just loves the community. The community's given a lot to him, and he wants to make sure that he's giving back to it. So we're still with Phalanx. Cross Country Mortgage is still our sponsor. So if you need any mortgage things done, hit up Jason Smith, the Mortgage Smith on Instagram. You know, we have a handful of other small sponsors involved, and we're taking on more. So if anybody else wants to get involved, let us know. We have a new acai place, Very Berries. I think they've popped by a few academies now, and they're sort of handing out their product.
Where are they located, Very Berries?
I don't think they have a standalone shop yet.
Okay,
They're
okay.
like brand new.
Gotcha.
It's one of John's guys, George, him and his
Okay.
wife. They're out there slanging it though.
Nice.
They're trying to get it out into the
I
community.
love it, man.
Just starting their own little family business, and we're
Yeah.
like, hey, come down. You can hang out all day and sling some acai,
Yeah.
and make sure that you're getting into the community that hopefully will be supporting you in the future.
Yeah. You got to
know,
hit up Peugeot Coffee, man.
Peugeot
Coffee. You won't
Okay.
regret it.
All right.
So good,
Where
dude.
they at?
So there's one location in Chandler, like, you know, the city center. I think that's their original location. There's another one in, I think that part of town is like Gilbert.
Okay.
There's like it's like I can't remember the cross streets. It's like Higley and something maybe.
Okay.
But that one's new. But dude, if you like coffee,
Yeah.
you will love Peugeot Coffee.
I'm a coffee dude.
Yeah,
I'm a
yeah.
coffee guy. We
Yeah.
carry.
They don't sponsor the show. They just dig their coffee.
No, I love that, man. I love that. I'm gonna call out all my people. I mean, we carry a Mythic Goat Coffee. I carry their Nitro Cold Brew in the gym.
Nice.
And we got a hand-me-down kegerator.
Nice.
And hooked it up with some nitrous. So
I got to check out your spot, dude. You got all
come
kinds
hang
of
out,
shit,
man. Yeah, I got a lot of shit. Well,
love-
it's just we're just trying to accommodate, man.
I
That's
love it, man.
You know?
Yeah.
But it's Jiu-Jitsu doesn't make all the money. You gotta
Right,
You gotta
yeah.
you gotta kind of delve out into other things. So
Yeah.
we're working on it. It's a slow growing process.
Good for you, man.
But we have Cast Iron Concepts. That's my buddy Dom. He owns Hush Public House, Barcina, Fire at Will, wonderful restaurants in the Scottsdale area. If you're out there, oh geez, I should probably look at my list. But Phalanx,
Feel free. Yeah. No, we want to make sure we get them all in.
All these great people that are involved, and give me 2 seconds.
Yeah, no worries.
Think I'm not that well organized. Oh no, did I get rid of that list? I may have ditched that list.
Shame on you.
To be. Oh nope, here it is. Ha ha.
Hit it.
So we've got Control PT. Defense Soap is on board this year. Cross Country Mortgage, obviously. And then Cast Iron Concepts, Liquid Death, Element.
Nice.
Have you guys had the Element salts yet?
Dude, yeah.
Those things are
They're kick ass, dude. Yeah.
So that we have so in your goodie bags, we throw a bunch of swag in. So Defense Soap, we mainly, most of those people just give you guys stuff.
Yeah.
That's it. We just reach out to either local places or large jiu-jitsu companies or Liquid Death or something like that. I happen to have a connect in there. And so hit them up and say, hey, can you send me some stuff that I could give out? They say, yeah.
No kidding. That's cool.
And so we throw a can of water in. We do raffles throughout the weekend. So we make sure that we're giving stuff away from these sponsors as well.
Yeah.
And it's not tons of stuff, but it's just something extra.
Yeah.
So Liquid Death, we gave away, each day we gave away 3 cases of Liquid Death.
That's cool.
We had boxes of Element we were able to give away.
Yeah.
I have we didn't bring them this year, but at a haircut place, where I get my hair cut, which I'm desperately in need of. Don't judge me, internet. But we, they gave away some haircuts. We try and make sure that we're just bringing on local small brands, and trying to get them out in the community as well. Send them some customers, and again, it's really just community. Yeah. That's all. I think that word's important. And Jiu-Jitsu's so small. People say it's ever growing and this and that, and you run a business we're tiny, man, and we all are able to corner our own little thing. I think of us a lot like kind of a cheesy analogy. We're like ice cream. Everybody's got their own flavor. We may be cookie dough. You're mint chocolate chip over there,
and some people may not like the chocolate chip.
100%. They may want the cookie dough, but they may want chocolate itself. So it's one of those. We really do well together by building a community, and trying to get rid of some of those old stuck in their way sort of mentalities. You know, those things aren't going to suit us for growing the sport and building a monster out here in Arizona.
And at the end of the day, we're really all in this together.
Oh, 100%.
You know what I mean? Like, you don't want to step on anybody. You don't want to hurt anybody. Like, you're just trying to help everybody. I really like that, man. That's
and you
really
know what?
cool.
I'm as competitive as anybody. We can be enemies on competition day.
Yeah,
let's do it. But like, I'm going to be your best friend right before and the day after.
I want my white belts to put your white belts to sleep.
100%.
But we're going to go out and have a beer after.
Yeah. I'm all in on that. Like, that is, we're building our brand. We are building our own businesses individually, but like, we need the community to be able to do it. Yeah. And I want my guys to want to go to your school, which is, I think, way further away than mine. But if you're in the area and whatever, like, and you need a place to train, I want to be able to say, hey, go to Alex.
Dude, they're always welcome, man. Yeah. Aries East Mesa BJJ. We're off of Ellsworth and Guadalupe.
Wonderful.
That's a shameless plug.
Nah,
but
get it in, man. Hey, I just did like 8 of them. So
I was going to ask you about the Element. Have you had the hot cocoa one?
Yeah.
Dude, I love those.
You love the cocoa?
Yes, I love them. I put it in my coffee.
That's the best way. Protein shake is another big way. Because I've tried them on their own, and I'm like, I don't know, man.
Not on their own.
Not on their own. But if you put them in something, they're great. So I carry them in the school now.
Nice.
They aren't cheap to carry, but I carry them, and the guys buy them like, we were with another company there for a little bit, and they were just too overpowered. They were just as healthy, but they were too strong. NFL players and stuff use them. They were too powerful. I think they're wonderful for if you're going to do some really heavy lifting.
Yeah.
But these are like, they're the perfect amount of salt. They're clean. There's no sugar, no bullshit.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not sponsored by these guys, but I think that they are, that if you're going to purchase a product for your academy, ditch that liquid IV shit. It's garbage. It's
full of sugar. Yeah.
You don't want it.
Yeah.
Carry these. These are something that your guys can really sustain on.
Yeah. And you're literally an electrical being.
Oh, 100%.
You know what I mean? And getting that salt in you, getting that hydration in you is so important.
I don't know the science behind it. I just know they taste good and I feel good when I fucking drink them.
Yeah, man.
So
I started talking to a guy, I think he's out of Idaho.
Okay.
Riley. He owns a company called Salt.
Oh, interesting.
And it's a very similar to Element.
He might have DM'd me. Did he DM you? Is that
he's a cool dude. Okay. He's a cool dude. I've talked to him a couple times. I'm going to have him on the show.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, reach out to him because he's a jiu-jitsu guy, brown belt. Mm-hmm. And so he sends me some sample packs of his stuff. And I dug it, man. It's good stuff. Mm-hmm. And it has a couple other things that he added that Element doesn't have. I'm not saying they're better or worse. I'm just saying they're just different. But when I tried it, I got on a call with him, and he's middle of what I call Central America, USA, right? And I said, hey man, did you get inspiration from like flavors from Mexico? He's like, no. I'm like, well, when you buy snow cones or whatever in Mexico, the flavor's just a little bit different than the stuff in the States. Yeah. I said, these taste like something I'll have in Mexico. Huh. And he's like, really? He goes, you're the second person to tell me that.
Oh, no shit?
Yeah. So it just has a different flavor to it. And he said he didn't have any influence. It's just what he liked.
Just what he liked.
Go to Mexico, bro. You'll dig it. So
you're going to have a great time in Mexico, my friend.
Yeah,
I'll have to hit him up and try those. I'm loyal like a dog, man.
I know.
Yeah.
Hey, but you can have more than a couple guys playing in the same.
I
arena,
absolutely
right?
can.
Yeah,
You're not wrong, and I could definitely support especially if he's a jiu-jitsu guy.
Yeah. He seemed like a really nice guy. He's going to be in the area in February.
Oh, love it.
Yeah.
That's
so
why you reached out. That makes a lot of sense.
So
putting the pieces together. Here.
Yeah. No, he's a smart dude.
That's awesome.
But yeah, man. So It's I'm sorry, say the name of the camp
The
again.
No-Gi Spring Training Camp.
No-Gi Spring Training Camp, and I'm assuming there's a .com where people can go register.
So you'll have to go to our website.
Yep.
You have to go through our drop down and head to events. But yes, you could register there.
Okay.
Registration will be open all the way up until day of.
Okay.
It's $300 for the full weekend. $110 if you just want to do day to day.
Nice.
No rash guard with the day to day.
Yep.
We do try and incentivize you to hop on that full weekend trip.
Yeah.
But I think that's an amazing bang for your buck at
Yeah.
I mean, you could spend $100 for one of those dudes individually at a seminar.
Yeah, I might even get a hotel out there just to make it a staycation.
Be close,
and
make
by.
something of it. It's a lot of people do it, and
Yeah.
I'll have guys hit me up. We get guys from Florida, Canada,
Wow.
New York, people coming up from Mexico,
Yeah.
from all over. Guys come. There's a group of guys that come from. They'll kill me if they hear this. They come from Maryland. That's where they come from, and it's like it's their annual dudes trip.
No shit.
Oh yeah, they come every year now.
Wow.
They've started making a trip. I mean, it's only been 2 years, I guess, but this
Yeah.
will be the third.
Yeah.
And they make a trip of it every year. They get together. The wives let them cut loose. They come down to Scottsdale, Arizona for the beautiful weather in
Yeah.
March. And there's plenty of other stuff going on. I think so for any of your listeners out of state.
Oh, dude, spring training games. You can do a lot of shit here.
all sorts of stuff. And depending on when you're here, if you want to come early, you can.
Yeah.
Waste management happens.
Yeah,
the Barrett Jackson's going on right now.
Yeah.
Which is a little early to head out, but
Yeah.
it changes every year, and there's always stuff going on that you can come hang out.
For sure, man.
Plenty to do. The weather's always beautiful that time of year.
Yeah.
No complaints from me,
Yeah. Well, listen, man, we've been going for an hour and a half.
Yeah.
It seems like we've been going for 10 minutes.
Yeah, I can talk forever. I told you downstairs. I can go and go if you let me.
No, this is great, man. So let everybody know where they can find you. Let them know where they can find the camp. Is there a Instagram page for the camp?
Yes, at No-Gi Spring Training Camp.
Okay.
You can find me on Instagram at Steeyle, Steeyle. Hippie ass parents. Don't forget that weird ass name.
Sounds like a rock and roll name, dude.
Yeah, it is. It is, man. Guys tell me, they're like, "Is that your real name?" I'm like, "Yes, it is. My middle name is Robert. All right, I got a normal middle name just in case." But a lot of people, Steeyle, whatever you want to call me. You can find me on Facebook, everywhere else too. And then the school page, just 10th Planet Scottsdale. On Instagram, Facebook, you can check us out. 10thplanetscottsdale.com. We'll get you to registration for the camp.
Yep.
And we really hope to see all you guys there.
Dude, I'm going to push it because I think it's a great thing that you're doing, man.
Thank you so much. And thank you again for letting me come into your home and be on this podcast without even knowing who I was. Again, shout out to Greg.
My
Thank
pleasure,
you for,
man.
for getting me in here. And I'd love to do it again, man. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah, well, let's do it right after the camp.
That would be great.
Right?
Yeah.
I will put that on the calendar.
Put me on the calendar.
Will do. All right, everybody, if you love the podcast or if you hate the podcast, leave us a review. Let us know how we're doing, and follow us on Instagram, the BJJ Foxcast. We're on Facebook, but I never look at that. And angry people on Facebook, dude.
Oh,
angry people
all
on
over.
Facebook. It's crazy.
It's
dude.
an older crowd.
Yeah.
What's
They're
wrong with the
pissed.
older
They're
people,
pissed.
man?
But yeah. So Steeyle, thank you so much for being on, brother.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
Awesome. This episode of the BJJ Foxcast is brought to you by BioPro. BioPro is an all-natural alternative to prescription human growth hormone, which aids in recovery, anti-aging, metabolism, libido, immunity, skin health, cognition, sleep, and stress. Just one vial per day provides a substantial boost to all of these growth factors. Okay, so that's what they want me to say. Here's what I know as an aging grappler. I've been using BioPro Plus and the nighttime variant, BioPro Plus Cortisleep, for several months, and it feels like I've grown a third lung. My gas tank is noticeably bigger, my recovery is faster, and I'm back on the mats much quicker, not just between training sessions, but between rounds. Now you can get $30 off your first order of BioPro when you use the code FOXCAST at www.bioproteintech.com. That's code FOXCAST for $30 off your first order at www.bioproteintech.com. Thank you, BioPro.